Hi, and welcome back to Gavin's Sonex B. I forgot to tell you a few things the other day, so I'm doing an extra video just to update you on a few things. The first thing is, dun, 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 I've got my pilot's license. It's taken me a while to get it. It's a French license because I live in France. And it's a ULM license. That means it's for the equivalent in the States of ultralight, in the UK a microlight, and it's for a 3-axis ULM. An ultralight in or ULM in France is categorized by a number of maximums, for want of a better description. So I've got them written down here. It can only have a maximum unladen weight, empty, of 312 kilograms, which is about 690 pounds. The maximum takeout off weight can only be up to 500 kilograms. That's about 1,100 pounds. That can be increased to 525 kilograms if you have a parachute, ballistic parachute installed. The stall speed must be equal to or below 65 kilometers an hour, and the engine can be no more than 100 horsepower, and that's for a 2-seat ULM. If it's a single seat, then the figures are lower. With a ULM license, you are not allowed to fly at night, so you must be on the ground half an hour after sunset, official sunset, and you can take off in the morning half an hour before official sunrise. No, half an hour after, I can't remember, anyway, it's one of the two. So there's no night flying, no IFR, so it's VFR flights only. In the European Union, we're able to fly from country to country within the EU, which gives you 27 countries to fly to. And that's the license that I've got. Katie has a full PPL license. She's a qualified pilot, and she also has her night rating, and she's doing a bit of aerobatics at the moment as well, which is what she likes to do, fly airplanes upside down and things like that. Not my cup of tea. So to get a ULM license in France, you need to basically pass your theory. Now, unlike the PPL system, which is kind of been standardized throughout Europe, the ULM is not part of the ESA system, the EASA system. So whereas Katie took her PPL theory in English, I had to do my theory in French. Now, I am not a fluent French speaker, and I certainly can't read or write French in much way at all, to be quite honest. So this was presenting me with a big problem, but my instructor said to me to basically learn to answer the questions. So The test involves answering 60 multiple choice questions on all aspects of flight, very similar to PPL, but a little bit, let's say, précis, not in such detail. So you've got air law, the mechanics of flight, etc., etc., human, the effects on the humans, all the same categories. And there are 1,153 possible questions you can be asked. So what I decided to do was, I decided to learn the answers to all 1,153 questions. It sounds impossible, but actually I did it in about 6 weeks. It wasn't that difficult. Found a really good site called Aerogligli, which is only relevant if you're French because it's in French. I had a Google Translate plug-in in my web browser and read the questions. It has all 1,153 questions on there, the possible questions. And I basically worked my way through all the questions, a category at a time, until I could answer a selection of questions and get about 85% of them right. And when I'd got to the point where I could actually do that over all the different categories, I booked my test, which was taken at a local aero club, about an hour and a half's drive away in St. Junien near Limoges. And so I took the test and I passed, and I got 88%, so I was really chuffed with that. And then I rang up my flying instructor. I mean, I've got loads and loads of hours on the ULM flying, and I rang up my instructor and said, well, what we need to do now, really, now I've passed the test, can we work on me getting through the practical test, please? And so he said, well, that sounds like a good idea. What are you doing the day after tomorrow, which was a Monday? And I said, I'm free, I can fly on Monday if you want. And I was expecting to go along and be basically shown what I needed to do to work on in order to get through the test. But what he actually did was he did the test. So we had a session on the ground where I had to obviously do the pre-flight checks, the meteo, the weather, check the weather. He asked me some questions about the aircraft, what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, etc., etc. And he had a big sort of tick list and ticked all that off. Then we went up in the ULM for an hour and a half. He made me stall it a couple of times and recover from the stalls. We did a spiral dive. He made me shut my eyes. He then cranked it over to the left, cranked it over to the right, cranked it over to the left, and then stuck it nose down in a spiral dive. Told me to open my eyes and said, okay, recover from that, which I did, and I was quite pleased with that. And various other exercises, flying around a field. That's quite difficult. Doing the turns accurately on the corners of fields. We were, I don't know, 300 foot above the ground, I suppose, something of that order. Going round. What else did we do? He cut the engine down to tick over and said, right, where are you going to land? Usual kind of thing. Pick a place and land it, and probably I got down to about 50 feet before putting the power back on and taking off again. And and OS turns, all sorts of things. Quite enjoyable. Enjoyed it all. No panic moments. Quite a relaxed thing. And at the end of it all, he gave me my provisional attestation, which basically allows me to fly on my own at the moment. It's a two-stage process to get your practical done. So you have to pass the practical test, then you get to fly on your own. After about 5 hours or a certain number of landings, he reassesses you, and as long as everything's going well, then you're allowed to take a passenger, which is great. This is my theory test results with my 88%, which was very good. And this is my license. Which means I can fly. Amazing. Which just, gives me a bit more incentive to get this damn aircraft finished. I've made a little bit of progress on it, and all I've got now to do is the wiring in the tail cone, and then it's got to get out of here. It's got to go to the hangar. So I'm hot on the heels of the president of the Aero Club to let me clear a space in the corner of the hangar. I want it to be out of the way. I don't want anybody fiddling with it whilst it's there. And then I can get it down there and start assembly work on it. So that's where we are at the moment. The other thing I was going to say was really about, I don't know whether you follow Mark at Weekend Hacks Aviation Journey. If you haven't, go there. He's building a Sonex YX and has had issues. I think that's probably the best description. He bought a second-hand, previously enjoyed part build kit, which turned out to have some issues, which he's managed to resolve. He got quite pessimistic about it at one point, but has resolved all the issues with the actual kit. Had a bit of a time building the engine. I haven't done that bit yet. That's coming up on my list of things to do very soon, as soon as I've got an aircraft to attach it to. And he had some issues building the engine, but managed to resolve them all. In particular, he had trouble with the cutting the push rods for the valves, which gave him a bit of a run around. I think he went through 3 sets of rods in the end. I can't remember. Couldn't get the length right, but has got through all those things, only to find out. I mean, he's been doing his pilot's license, full pilot's license in a Cessna, I think it is, or Piper or something like that. Only to find out that he has an old issue, a medical issue, which the FAA I think it's the FAA in the US have highlighted as an issue, and in order to get past this issue, he's got to jump through hoops and have brain scans and stuff like that, which of course in the United States costs a lot of money. And he's been umming and ahhing as to what to do, whether to carry on. Last I heard, a couple of months ago, he'd given up on going any further with the Sonex. He was considering selling it on, giving up the idea of flying completely. Well, if you're watching, Mark, don't give up on the dream. Don't, because you'll only regret it later on. It'll always be one of those things that you'll look back on and think, well, you know, what could have been. If I was to give you any advice, I would think probably is sell the Cessna Piper, whatever it is, I think it's a Cessna, that you've got, because it's pointless having that sitting around doing nothing. It's only going to go mouldy and depreciate. And keep up with your lessons on a sort of once a month basis or something like that, with your instructor, with a higher aircraft or something like that, to keep the cost low, and just keep your hand in so that you don't lose any of the skill that you've developed already, and carry on building the Sonex, because you might as well. You've got everything you need to finish it, so it's a hobby. Treat it as a hobby and a learning experience, and finish it, because even if the worst comes to the worst, you'll have built an aircraft, even if you're not able to fly it on your own, and it'll probably be worth more money in one piece than it is in pieces. I don't know, it depends, but that's what I would do, and pursue the medical thing. Do whatever it is that they need you to do. You don't seem like a guy who's got an issue that really affects your ability to fly. We're quite lucky here in Europe that we have this two-tier system where a lot of people with medical conditions fly ULMs, and a Sonex is able to be classed as a ULM. It's light enough, the engine power is low enough, and its stall speed is low enough, so it can be classed as a ULM here. And a ULM license, you do not require a full medical, as long as your personal doctor is happy that you can walk a straight line and you can see what's written on a wall, and even if you've got heart condition, you can still get a license to fly. And with a Sonex, you've got an aircraft that's almost as good as a private light aircraft anyway. Admittedly, you can't take too many passengers, but you can fly. So carry on, Mark. Don't give up. Build the Sonex and get that medical. Alternatively, the only other way out of it is to go, was it Part 103, is it called, in the US, and fly one of those air bikes or whatever it is that you don't need a license for anyway. But yeah, carry on, don't give up. And what else did I have to tell you about? I don't think there's much else. So I'm going to get onto the wiring next, and that, I think, is I'll probably do some videos about that, because I know that it causes people a lot of issues. It shouldn't do, really. It's not rocket science at the end of the day. There are techniques. You do need tools though. Don't skimp on the tools. Buy some decent tools, and decent crimpers, decent cutters, and I'll try and do some videos, show you what I'm doing. It's what I used to do for a living, so it's not going to be that difficult to me, I hope. Otherwise I'm going to have egg on my face, aren't I? And hopefully I'll have some news on getting into the hangar, and it will be great to get the aircraft out of the house, so I can redecorate the room and Mother can come and stay for 3 months. So I'll leave it at that, and hope you found that info of some interest, and I'll speak to you again in a few days, hopefully. Cheers for now. Bye.